This show is brought to you by DF Studios Limited. Whether you're a business owner or entrepreneur, DF Studios will guide and assist you on the best ways to promote your brand digitally, in addition to creating visitor and customer generating content like blogs, social media posts, videos, and even podcasts like this one you're listening to right now. Visit dfstudiosltd.com or hit up info@dfstudiosltd.com for more info.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Mind Your Mind with me, Mikkell Khan, and my co-host Verena Boodoosingh.
Hi,
Verena, how are you doing?
good. I'm actually really excited to talk about editing.
So we're going to talk about editing your book. So I believe last week we spoke about the process of concept to creation. And in
Yeah.
that case, you're talking about creation from a manuscript point of view, where you took the idea you had and now it's on paper. So what do we do next? And that's where the beautiful role of editing comes into play.
Beautiful. But that stage was very difficult and challenging for me.
Mhm.
It was frustrating too, I must admit, especially for a first-time author. Well, writing the novel. Um, I don't know. I just find editing was.
So
But I mean, I had to go through those obstacles, ups and downs, because now I actually know I got burnt to learn. These things.
interesting.
Um,
So I, as a author of several books already, I have a process I have in place when it comes to editing. But I know for sure the listeners of the podcast would probably benefit from hearing your story, V, regarding you said you had to burn to learn, and it sounds like you had quite a process with it. I'd love to hear a little bit about your process, and if you could let us know what to avoid in the future with it.
Well, firstly, what I would like to share to my audience is that you can research. We are very fortunate, as I mentioned before. We have Google, we have our online knowledge available there for us. The University of YouTube. So, firstly, what you can do, what I fail to do, is that you can actually look at tips on how to reduce the time for editing. By reducing the time for editing, um, you reduce the cost, because the cost factor is something important, especially if you have a budget for your book, because you need to pay these editors like per hour, per day, depending on their ratings. So, I would say, try to, you know, for me, is about trying to show and less telling, use less filler words, less flowery words. So that was one point I really felt the need to share to my audience. But when I first started, when I was searching for an editor, I had no idea there were different types of editors. So I know there were the developmental editor, line edit, copy editor, proofreading. So if like now I'm aware of it and I have the knowledge, and I hope this podcast actually give you that information. But back then I didn't even know. So that also, messed me up a little and kept back the editing process, because I had to okay, what stage of editing I am at? What stage of editing is the circle I'm in? Is it the live reduction, copy editing, So I had to educate myself. And then it's about searching for the right editor. So especially in Trinidad and Tobago, um, we don't have much editors, especially I felt we do have editors, but not for the genre that we are in, sci fantasy. Yes, you can find an editor probably to do line editing, right? Or copy editing, but the developmental editing, You need to get someone who is experienced, who's well read, who has like when you look at their portfolio, they did several books in the genre because that will determine whether it's a successful edited book or not. So, and then I finally found an editor, but I think he was going through some personal issues, so it took longer than expected 2 months, 3 months. But he was actually perfect, but is with regards to developmental editing. So I think he was the right person. So that's important too. You have to consider timing and whether your editor has time for you. So that's an important note. Make sure the editor has time for your work and you work out a deadline or a time or a schedule. And then when I got my second editor, well, I think I was desperate and she heard a desperation in me and she overcharged me because after I spoke to you, Mikkell and Janelle, you all told me, oh, that was clearly overpriced, right? I remember I told you.
Especially for what you got from.
Yes. And I mean, she had a bachelor's degree in English. And that's the thing that everyone would claim to be an editor, especially if they have a degree in English or, writing, whatever. But they need to show you their portfolio because my sci-fi novel was actually the first book she ever edited in her life. But I just probably took because this is the next important tip. You need to give them a few pages to edit, and you can determine whether they fit your style or if the person is, doing a great job. So she did edit the first chapter pretty well, and I was like, yeah, I mean, like this is good. But then, like coming along, you realize she's good with grammar, good with like line editing. But there are things she changed. Her opinions just became a little too strong, and I thought it was like overriding my voice. And then she's a first time editor, and you charge me this exorbitant price, like ridiculous price.
Did you eventually completely pay her? Mind me asking. I mean, I know we're in a podcast now, but
Actually, I told her I would continue paying her month by month, a little, and she's like, yes. But that was so difficult to do, and that's my next point. I would like to bring up pricing and payment. I think like payment should be stage by stage, so that way you don't like commit to because if you pay the full price, like suppose like coming down to the end, the editor becomes very busy or I become busy or like the quality of work decrease. So I have seen YouTube videos where they actually advise you to do stage by stage payment. So this may be based on like act 1, act 2, 3, or maybe like chapters. So I think that was something very important that I learned during that you know, editing process that I wish that I will know now for my book too. Pay
Mhm.
my editors stage by stage and tell them upfront what's your budget because it's a business at the end of the day and each book has a budget set. And I mean, you don't want to spend all your money into editing and then you have no money for advertising or like printing or like developing your artwork.
Yeah.
So I think like setting a budget and being realistic about your budget is very important. I mean, like, yes, if it's like an expert editor, bestseller, and you're getting this superb finished product, I can understand the high price. But again, you would know how to value your editor and you know, compare it to your budget. I mean, someone who's like now editing your book for the first time. I mean, I don't think they should charge you very high. You know what I mean?
Even if they were charging very high, the basis of everything, like you said, the payment should have been discussed beforehand, and
Yeah.
milestones should have been set.
Oh no, the payment was discussed at hand, and I was like, wow, this is really expensive. But I did my research, and she was really what I failed to realize is that she based her costing based on these experts. You know what I mean?
Where
So I,
they were at, not where
yeah,
she was
where
at.
they were exactly, and I guess I was so desperate at that point, like I keep telling myself I need to complete this book. I need to like publish it, and like I'm wasting time, and I'm just like I need an editor, and I felt she felt that desperation, and she played on it. Maybe I don't know. I just took it, But now, and then it's the simple thing like this podcast, doing your research to find out like what stage of development you need to submit your book for editing, what type of editor you need. Just gaining that knowledge will save you that as well. Or talking to other editors, talking to other authors like you, Janelle. It really helped open me up to this world of editing because recommendation is the best way to go. And if you don't get an editor based on recommendation, you can always go on upmarket, right? And then
Upwork.
there's
Up-
Upwork. Yes, Upwork. Sorry.
mhm.
Um,
Upmarket is nice as well
yeah,
in
so
Christmas
yes,
time.
I'm actually thinking that Upwork, and you can find one there as well. But yeah, recommendation, and then there's this other site. Is it
Freelancer.
Freelancer? Yeah,
It's Freelancer. There's people per hour. There's Upwork. There's Fiverr, but I would only recommend top-rated people on Fiverr or pro-rated people.
hmm
Um, you have to, yes, you have to discuss the budget when it comes to the editing, but you also have to understand that there needs to be some cost that you have to pay for a good editor, especially if it is you are not going to be able to do it on your own. And if you do it on your own, you need to be mindful that you have to come back to your work as an editor, not a writer at that point in time. Because if you don't do that, they could have a lot of mistakes that you didn't see and you could put it out to the world, and that can affect your book. The same way, you have to be very careful also of recommendations because sometimes people recommend based on their bias. So you would actually have, I actually had a mentor that recommended my first editor to me. And she recommended the editor on the basis that he edits romance. She
yes,
writes romance. But also he edits short romances, and she also gets a cut when he gets referred, right? So whilst he would be a good editor for something like say 20,000, 30,000 words, when I hit him with my 90,000 science fantasy story, he couldn't cope with it. He couldn't do it properly. And
yeah,
that resulted in that science fantasy novel getting 2 and 3 star ratings. When I went to my editor that I go to now for my line editing and development editing, same person he's speaking about, Mr. Brent Hines, he's very good at that.
yes.
Um, that the same story, just tweaked and fixed up a little better, now gets 4 and 5 star ratings generally now.
And
So
so it's very important to get the right editor, and that clearly illustrates that point.
yeah, recommendations are good, but you need to understand where the recommendations are coming from. If it's if somebody is not in your genre, or if the person doesn't have the experience of doing books of your size and your style, you need to be very mindful about giving them this book. I agree with you on giving them some chapters to do, but what the little trick I like to do is I like to give them out of sequence chapters. So if I know I have a big scene in like in chapter 5, I will give them chapter 1, chapter 4,
Yeah.
chapter 5, because I want to see that build and how they handle that build that happens there. I might
Yeah.
even give them a chapter 7 for resolution, so I could see exactly how they handle the introduction, the build, the resolution, and if they're actually good at the pacing of it, and if again, if they keep my voice in there as well. Once
Yeah.
you have to pay them for your time, for their time, but it's better to pay them for those chapters to see if you get what you want, as
Yeah.
opposed to they go through your whole book and then it's like you said, it started off good, but then when you actually go through it, she changed your voice. She started to change things that you did not like. There was a clashing of exactly how you guys worked.
Because initially I actually picked her because I felt she maintained my voice, but yet just polish it, you know. But I guess I don't know if she just got tired or what it was, because there were things she sort of changed, and then she suggested that she add more to the story, and but I have to pay her extra. So I was like, yeah, but this would change my plot, and like I don't want to. So it felt like, you know, it just had a lot of scenarios that I didn't really like about that situation. And that's why it's sort of like a marriage, you know, because you spend a lot of time with your editor. So you have to make sure your editor and you have this good connection and relationship as well. Like, you know, you
You need
work, you need to like your editor, you need to work well with each other, you know.
and you need to
And then,
know exactly what it is they're coming on for, because she went
yeah,
from becoming a line editor who's supposed to help with the style and the pacing and everything. And she was moving more towards a developmental editor out of
yeah.
her saying, hey, I have these suggestions. I should implement them. You should pay me for it. That is not, I would say that is not her place to suggest that like that. If the proper relationship there would have been, I have some suggestions, give you in a bullet form. It's your choice if you want to add it or not. If you do
She
add
more
it,
or
I can
less
go ahead and line edit
also
it.
said she more or less did mention that, but I think she, you know, sometimes humans can be, I mean, animalistic in a way. They sense fear or they sense lack of confidence in someone, because I think she knew that I was really scared because it was my first book. And she, I think I felt as if she played on that. So she sort of was strong with her opinions. But now that I have went through that, I feel like more confidence. I know what I'm about. So I
Mhm.
don't think someone can pull that on me again. But you know, so it sort of is like I don't know, it's like for her to get more income. In the end, it felt like that, like, you know, it was more about gaining more funds from me. And she probably did play it on my emotions because I was feeling desperate to get this book done, and I kept like questioning, like, is this true or should I really do this? You know, and second guessing my plot and my story.
Mhm.
But you know, I at the end of the day, I was just like tried. I was like, okay, yes, sure, let's just finish the book, and I just went ahead. And but then, like when I read it over, I saw a lot of instances. For example, consistency was awful. For example, one character basically dropped his laser gun in the ocean, but he still had it in the preview in the chapters to come. But I was like, he dropped it there, like little scenarios like that, you know,
Mhm.
that affected the realism of the story. Um, and then, you know, just developing a relationship with another protagonist that was sort of awful, and like certain dialogue was very different, that a character won't speak like that, the mannerism, gestures.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I really did pay to learn for my first book with regards to editing, because it was really a difficult stage for me. But eventually I did get someone, and she really didn't. She's not an expert with
Mhm.
writing books, but she is with scripts.
Right.
So she really helped me pick up those, um, you know, inconsistency
That
with
was
the plot.
created.
Yeah, that created, and then like, and the funny thing is, I gave her the book to read, and I didn't tell her anything about it. I didn't tell her what I liked, what I didn't like. I didn't see anything. I was like, here, this is my book. Because I really, really got her to be an advanced reader, not to edit the book. Because I was still searching for a next fourth editor to
Mhm. Based on the criteria that you thought you needed.
yes. And I was like, this is something is wrong here. This still needs editing. You know, as a writer, you just read it over. You
It's
know,
off. It's just off.
yeah, it's just
It
like
doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't move you how it's supposed to. It just kind of be. It feels like okay, there. That's
and
it.
they were like mistakes too, like inconsistency, even little grammar mistakes, like punctuation, and I think she got tired in the end. I feel so. But then so I got a few advanced readers. I said, you know what, let me see if this was me being biased. And I think that's probably a good thing for you all to have advanced readers to give you
Yes.
honest feedbacks and criticize your work.
Hmm.
I'm a little tired, so that's why I'm stuttering tonight.
Don't worry about it. We
Guys,
all appreciate the
trying
information.
not to like drink too much, like a lot of coffee as well. So, but yeah, so they actually picked up on a lot of these mistakes, and I was so happy that they did because it made me realize that my instinct was right. It's not just me alone. And as I mentioned, as a first time author, you do question yourself a lot. The whole lack of confidence, all that really plays on your head. So yes, her name is Samara, and she was a line editor, well, basically an advanced reader. And then I just pulled her in to be one of the editors because she was picking up a lot of errors. She was like, she got a feel of the characters.
Hmm.
It felt as if she was in the same rhythm as me with regards to the story. Because even like the quotes I created, she felt like, I feel like this is what you wanted to say, but why? And I was like, this is how I said it initially. And she just like, added to suit. So I felt we had a connection, and I felt like she understand me as an individual, and she kept my voice, and she was excellent, I must say, with developmental editing, especially when it came to plot and taking the story from one point to the next. She was excellent with that, and I went through four editors before I appreciated that from her. So, and this was a person who never edits a book, you know what I mean? And yet she had this natural skill set. But then again, she has um, experience with regards to film, so she's not new to it.
So again, it comes back to the genre. I'm
Yes,
getting the impression of the film. She understands the thematic, she
yes,
understands the visual, and she
she,
understands the pacing as needed. But I
exactly.
definitely have to say I feel you with that one.
And she was really good with characters as well. She understand each character. Because the problem I have with the previous editor was that she sort of like, I don't even realize she understood what she did, but she like, there were traits that kind of blend. Like it seems like certain characters had similar traits that didn't really define them. And Samara came in and she understand what personality to like to show, or what gestures a certain character may do or will not do, or like how they may react if they become fearful, because everyone reacts differently when they are scared
Hmm.
based on their personality and their character, and she really got that really well. So that's a perfect example to show that there's two scenarios. There's someone who has a BA degree in English,
Hmm.
but yet she lacked that understanding of character development, developmental editing, and But yet there's this person who doesn't have the BA degree, but she has experience in film. But she really understood like a character. She really got that humanistic element down and helped me bring that character to alive, you know?
And that's what you need.
Yeah.
You
But I
definitely.
glad I never like, and you know, it goes to show just sometimes you need to just, forget about your doubts. You need to just believe in yourself and your instinct because I followed my gut feeling and I
Mm.
was like, no, this book is not ready. It's not me. And I just kept looking until I by chance, I found Samara. So, and
Well,
all,
I mean, not by chance, because you would have picked her as an advanced reader for a reason. Because
yes,
you actually had a few advanced readers, and I know that some of them actually gave you some good advice
yeah,
as well. There was somebody from England, I believe, that did that.
yes, Isabel Bisnath. She's also a close friend of mine. She did a law degree and she loves to read. So I knew she would have been fitting as well. So she also gave me some positive and negative feedback that I used to polish the final editing of the book. And then Marissa um, is a third editor I actually got. She helped me in the end, and she did a master's in literature.
Mhm.
So she really gave me the whole finished, product there. Like she was the missing piece, Marissa.
So if you think about it, V, you actually would have gotten somebody for a role of each portion of the editing. The
Yes.
developmental would have been Samara helping you out there.
Yes.
The line would have been, I guess, that would have been Isabel.
Mm-hmm.
The copy editing would have been
Marissa.
Marissa.
Yes.
So you would have gotten a trifecta there for your
Yes.
editing, and that is why the book would have come out how you wanted it to after the fact.
And I only realized that they all had a stage editing. Well, what is the word I'm looking for? I'm so sleepy here.
That's okay. So they all had their own
Specific.
specific skill set
Yes.
when it came to it, and the
And I
most
didn't know they were like doing this until like actually the end. And I did my own research. So
but
that's what I actually went through the process, like literally.
the most important thing is that each one of them had a passion for the genre, to
Yes.
some form of fashion, and that is
Very.
something you definitely need when it comes to getting an editor.
And they were so engaged, they were so excited. They read it in no time, and you could see the enthusiasm in their eyes. And when they gave me their feedback, and they said that it's okay because I mean I knew them. I had like, well, Isabel's my friend, Samara's also my friend, but we're in the same industry. And Marissa was just so excited to be involved with this project. She was like, this is interesting because this is the first time I'm editing a book. You don't need to pay me. She's like, Verena, I cannot take any money because it's the first time I'm actually editing a book, which was very honest, right?
Look at the contrast.
Yeah. And I was like, no. So I still offer them, you know, to pay them something, which, because I thought it's just fair because this was like a 380-page book.
Hmm.
So so I really got individuals who are passionate about the story and the genre, like you say.
Hmm. Yes, that
Yeah.
is definitely that is the reason why I actually picked Brent to be my developmental and line editor,
Yes.
because I knew that he liked those kind of stories, fantasy, science fiction. I've
Yeah.
heard him do some science fantasies already, in terms of reading. So I wanted that insight, because I went wrong with, okay, any editor is an editor for me. You edit books, you must know what you're doing. That's where
Yeah.
I went wrong with the romance editor. Look
And
what
I
happened.
was like that initially, and I agree with you. I had no idea. I was like, okay, so there is a difference, and I need to pay attention to the stages of editing and genre and all this. And so in my mind, I was pretty much thinking, okay, grammar, spelling.
Yeah. So if it's one thing that people could take away from this is, um, of course, as everything, you do your research, you make sure the person who is editing your book, even if they don't have experience, give them some samples to work with. So at
Yes.
least you can see where they're coming from and not just first chapter. You need to give them, you need to test them with different parts of your book. I
And
suggest
I
introduction
think that is very true,
and
Mick,
that and
because
increase from. Mhm.
that's a very good, that's very important, because I think that's a mistake I made, because basically I gave that editor just the first two chapters.
Mhm.
So when they, you remember, like Act Two is like a difficult, um, some difficult chapters, right? It's like a lot of changes happening, all the action starting to take place. So
Correct.
you're very, that is, I mean,
You
that's a pointer for me as well.
Yeah. So because a lot of new authors are afraid that, oh no, if you have my best scenes or best scenes,
Hmm.
you're going to they're going to take it and do their own thing.
Yeah.
Trust it, a small percentage of people in this world will write a book. Even if you were to give them small parts of your book in different acts, they're not going to do anything with it, nor would they be able to do it unless they themselves put it up as a look at this short story I'm working on. Here's some clips and everything. To which you realize that's not your editor anymore.
Yes.
But but it still allows for you to see what the abilities are in each aspect of your voice. And you get to see one time if this person is going to drop the ball or if they're going to be able to continue with the momentum that you had. So definitely that's one thing. And the other thing is you have to make sure that they have a passion for what you're doing because like you said, it's like a marriage. You're going to be with this person a lot of days while you're working on this. And it's going to be a long period of time. You all need to be able to work together well and see, even if you all don't see the vision exactly how it is. Like I like to use this example. They're fans of Star Wars, right? They're fans of the original trilogy. They're fans of the prequels, and they're fans of the god awful ones that just came out a few years ago. Yes, you know what my bias is. The
Yes.
fact of the matter is, we all have our different preferences when it comes to that science fiction, that science fantasy, but we all can kind of understand each other when we speak about the world, the characters, the environment, what we love about it. The love we have it is actually very similar to each other, even though it is different in a sense. And I'll even go as far as it's the thing that connects DC and Marvel fans together. It is that passion for that kind of story and that kind of genre that you can understand. And that's why you would, even if you're writing something in the DC universe, you could get a Marvel fan to come and help you with that.
Yeah.
And because they would understand the building blocks and the pacing and where you want to go with it. So that's definitely what I would have to say to people regarding the editing process when you're trying to find an editor.
I agree. And you know what's important to knowing your personality, because for example, if you think you need someone to tell you to be very strict with you and be like, okay, you need to do this, or you need to like submit this chapters, you know I mean, I know by then you probably finish your chapter, but if you think you're that type of person that need to be criticized to push you, or if you think you're that person who, okay, I am so scared to let this out there, I need someone to really be kind to me and deliver the criticism and their editorial comments in a nice way, you find that editor that can give you that, because we all are different and we all need different, you know, things to drive us and motivate us. So you will know who would be best for you based on your interview and based on those chapters that you gave them to edit. And I think what's also important is to have an editorial calendar, so you all have a fair understanding as to when to submit each chapter, and your deadlines to know like when the editor should finish, so I think it's important to have that, and also a contract with your editors
Mhm.
is very
Sure.
important. And you need to, and my mistake really taught me that I need to like research on my editor's qualifications. Like, what qualifications am I looking for from my editors? Whether it be experience, whether it be how many books under her belt, whether it be her passion, so you need to know what's your qualification. Make a list of qualifications you like your editor to have, your contract, and your schedule with your
Yes.
deadline. Yeah.
And you definitely would have to, that's extremely good points, Devi. You have to be able to know what it is you expect from the editor in
Yeah.
terms of what you're delivering, what they're delivering. If you want a military sergeant or if you want a cheerleader when it comes to actually helping you out, who you're going forward with.
Yes.
Um, I just want to add this point because I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are listening to this are saying it sounds like she struck gold with those three editors after she was in that pit of despair all the time.
I was
She had
ready.
a friend that had that.
I think that's why I know what to look out. This is why I could tell you so much about this, because it was very discouraging. I remember there was some nights that I actually cried because it's like I reached this far and I can't believe this editor is keeping me back.
Hmm.
And an editor is very important. I understand that. I knew I need to get the editor before I release this book. So at least I know that for sure.
Well, I would to those who are hearing us right now and saying I don't want to go through that what you guys went through, and I don't think I'm going to have that list of that group of friends that could help me up in that particular sequence like that, right?
Yeah.
My advice would definitely be to them, if they don't want to go through it, consider doing after you've written a manuscript based on our last episode of concept to creation. Listen to that, finish your manuscript, and then get a tool like Grammarly, the pro version of Grammarly, or ProWritingAid.
Yes.
Do a pass on your book based on that, and develop, like Verena did, a group of advanced readers. That's one. The advanced readers can actually help you greatly in see that what's wrong, what's right, what works or doesn't. I actually have an advanced reader from Canada who is a school teacher that loves science fiction, and
Yeah.
when she reads the book, she shows me all the corrections that has to be done. Sometimes you strike gold with that and you have that, but understand that your readers can help you as like that. Once you make those changes, you can give it to beta readers or advanced readers for review. So I'll correct this. It's actually alpha readers that read your manuscript.
Okay.
Beta readers read after it's been edited, and advanced readers read the version that goes out just before release.
Yeah.
But once you have a group of those three types of individuals, you could actually have a book that goes out that your readers will definitely love, because the people who are in that group are going to be readers of that genre, and there's a very very low chance you're going to have any blatant mistakes in your book.
And
um
so the advanced readers, they are really called.
so the ones that read your manuscript are the
Mm-hmm.
alpha readers. They read the bare bones.
Okay.
The ones that read after it's been edited are your beta readers, and then the ones just before you actually release the book are your advanced readers. um and yeah, you could actually go ahead and release a book with that, because you would have gone through these different sets of groups and you would have gotten the feedback you really needed for that. So that is a nice bare bone ways of doing it. It
Exactly.
involves a lot more people, but if you're in a position where you can't afford editors and stuff at the moment, you can do that. But it's always good to have a professional who is in the genre to
Yeah.
look at all over for you. And another thing to consider is language, British language versus American language. I've had books completely edited in the British language,
Yeah.
And I've had readers who reviewed it and said there's spelling errors. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? There's no spelling errors there. It's
Yeah.
only until an Irish author came to me and told me, Mikkell, they're always going to find errors because they believe that that is how things are spelt. So what she did was put, I am an Irish author. Um, Certain words are different. Please forgive me. And it's starting where she thanks her, like her editors and thanks her family and what she has that there. Once I started to put that in my book that I'm a Trini Canadian author using British English,
That's the info
I
I need
start,
to.
yeah, I started to get less and less people give me 4 to 5 stars saying I love this story, but too much grammatical errors.
Yes.
I'm like, what are you talking about? I made sure this book
Which
had none.
we use British, so
Yeah. So it's good to let people know that because you might see that your book is not getting the ratings you want based on that alone, and you're thinking, oh my god, what am I doing wrong? It could be something as simple as that,
yeah.
you know.
But and I also had alpha reader, right? That's what
Hmm.
you terminology for it, right?
Yeah.
You remember? I think we mentioned this. Is it in episode 1 or 2, where you can also post your story on Instagram, write a few paragraphs,
Hmm.
because basically I did that with I actually got a alpha reader from my Instagram story, as he was actually a sci fantasy fan, was really interested about the book, and I was okay letting him read the full manuscript, and he gave some positive and negative feedback, which helped me as well. So, that's another idea, to put it out there. And if you find you can, find readers, that's one way to gain alpha readers. It's like putting your work out there, like 1 or 2 lines or a few paragraphs. It doesn't have to be a huge extract of the book,
Yeah.
because basically my Instagram content was like a photo and 2, 3 lines
Right.
describing the scene, So I gain an alpha reader from my Instagram posts. So that's your social media, your emails, your blogs is a good way to gain some alpha readers.
Social media is an excellent way of doing it. Um, Platforms like Medium is a good way. There are a few others. There are a few other author-based ones that you can start putting your content on, and yeah, you can get alpha readers like that. You could actually get people who, once you put at the bottom, anybody who wants to help with you know, reading my book, you can actually put a call to action saying, email me at this email here, get the information, and go based on that. So I would say that that's a good way to build up not only your alpha readers base, but also your reading list, because those people can end up becoming readers and purchasers of your book for all the books that you create going forward. It's actually a very good way of making a fan base because people love to be a part of something, like especially if they're readers, a part of reading a book as well as getting free books to read.
Yeah.
Good way to
And
work
it
with it like
really
that.
what's under the part of the developmental process,
Hmm.
So yeah, I agree, because the fact that you actually consider your fans, because we are writing for them.
Exactly. They're the ones that are reading it. They're the ones as soon as a new one comes out, they're buying it. I've had fans where literally I'll put out a collection of the same 3 books, then I think newt it, and they're still buying a copy of that
Yeah,
just because it is the stories in a collection now. Those are your true supporters. And it's just to build it and make them a part of the entire process.
I agree. I thought this discussion was helpful.
No, that's why we have it. It not
Yeah.
only helps our listeners, it helps us as well.
Yes, I know my terminology, alpha reader, beta readers, sharpen my little
Hmm.
expertise there. But I think that's pretty much what I had to say or share
Yeah,
my
yeah,
experience with editing. And I hope this really helped you
yeah. And
all. So you'll be
I,
less stressful for you than me.
yes, you have multiple options now to go out in that
Because,
wonderful world after you've written your manuscript, which is the editing process. Of course, uh, we have any final words other than that? But
I know I think I said a lot about editing. It is a stage that I don't like, but is necessary.
Mhm.
And I hope the knowledge we have shared will make it more enjoyable for you than as opposed to my first experience, basically.
That's the whole idea of the podcast. To tell everyone our own experiences, and hopefully they could learn from it and learn from us going forward. Um,
Yes.
so I think everybody has different ways that they can go ahead and edit going forward. So I would have to say that, guys, I think this is a very insightful episode of Mind Your Mind. And if you guys have any questions or anything you'd like us to discuss in the podcast, feel free to let us know and
Comment.
we can cover it.
Yes.
Yeah. So until next time, you guys have a great day. Take care and we'll see you soon.
Good night.
Night.
Mind your minds.
Mind your mind.